Okay, so hello, welcome everybody. So if you are trying to prepare for the Google Cloud Digital Leader exam, so these are some sample questions. So we're just going to go through them and see how best we can answer these questions. Okay, so the first question is, how can Google Cloud help an organization achieve its sustainability goal? Now, one thing you need to understand about cloud is that you need to look at the questions from the aspect of Google Cloud as a platform and also look at sustainability goals. And anytime we'll talk about sustainability, we're talking about long-term plans to make sure that maybe we'll cut down on cost, we are very efficient and all of that. So the very first answer here is Google Cloud data centers are carbon free. Data centers have maximum physical security, regional distributed around the world. Data centers are ISO certified for their environmental performance and efficiency. So the two answers we should have is either A or B. So if you were to answer, what would be the best bet for this particular question? So we say, how can Google Cloud help? Yes, if you say Google data centers are carbon free, that's not the case. Their plan is by 2030. So the answer should be data centers are ISO certified for their environmental performance and efficiency. So the next question is going to be, an organization is monitoring a service level indicator. So service level indicator is what are kind of the KPIs we need to be able to get to be sure that we meet a particular benchmark on the volume of traffic. So traffic is a kind of an indicator, is a kind of a metric that the application is receiving. Why is it important to monitor this indicator? So volume of traffic always affects the user experience. That can be true. High traffic levels are frequently tied to degrading performance. This might be true. Historical trends in traffic can be used for capacity planning. Now, we're talking about monitoring traffic. So why is it important to do that? So C should be the answer. If we have our trends, we can be able to use it for planning. Low traffic volumes always indicate configuration issues. That's not the actual issue. The question here is, why are we monitoring? Why is it important to monitor it? If we have this, then we can plan. Then the next question is, an organization has raised a support case with Google Customer Care. When is it appropriate for a case to be escalated? So you have different types of levels with respect to the issues you have. Now, when should you start maybe trying to get to the next level of support? When high impact issue needs to be resolved as fast as possible, when the priority of the ticket has been set incorrectly, when flagging a break in the process or a communication issue, when the case has been resolved or needs to be reopened. So this is out of it. This is out of it. So the answer is between A and B. So you want to use the principle of elimination when the priority of a ticket has been set incorrectly. So this can be a reason why you want to escalate maybe to the next level. So, but in answering the questions, we need to pick the most appropriate. So the next one is when a high impact issue needs to be resolved as fast as possible. So our answer is going to be A. Now, organization wants to track, understand its expenses on Google Cloud and receive recommendation on cost optimization. Now, one thing that cloud helps you to do is to be able to track your expenses, because we're trying to talk about paying on demand. You pay for only what you use. Take, for instance, if you're using a hosting platform now, you might be paying for 1 gig and let's say 10 gigabytes of bandwidth. But in Google Cloud, you don't get to pay upfront, you pay on demand. And it's also important that Google has solutions within the enterprise that helps you to do what? To track and understand your expenses. So which tool should be used to do this? So that's the question. So we have cloud billing reports. So cloud billing reports comes at the end, resource quota and threshold. So this, you're going to assign your instances or your items, what quota they are going to have. Then you have committed use discount, then you have invoices. So when we talk about tracking and understanding, so my best bet is going to be cloud billing report. Cloud billing report, because this is going to come at the end of the day, and I'm able to understand, I'm able to track what took how much dollars, what took how much of dollar. Okay, so the next question is going to be, an organization wants to analyze data collected from its fleet of rented vehicles, onboard sensors, so this kind of IoT now, sends location data every 30 seconds. They want to ingest this data. Which Google product or service should they use? So you have data flow. Data flow has to do with streaming data. Then we have PubSub. PubSub have to be like a subscription stuff. So Cloud SQL is for databases most of the time. Then cloud storage is for either structured or unstructured kind of data storage. So the answer is going to be publishing and of course subscription, because you have kind of sensors, IoT devices, and you want to be able to be collecting and you want to be able to send in data. So the next question here is, an organization wants to compare the total cost of ownership. So in total cost of ownership, you want to migrate from your on-premise data center to your cloud service provider. So you're going to ask yourself, what is going to be the total cost of my ownership of this cloud enterprise? So it's going to include your cost of hardware, the subscription, the talent, the team you're going to that's going to help you run the cloud systems and all of that. So all of that and the other even unforeseen variables constitute the total cost of ownership. Now, we want to compare the total cost of ownership of the operating in the cloud versus when we are just managing our data center or managing our services locally. What on-premise cost should be compared to the cloud operating cost? So what should you be comparing physically that you have in comparison to where you're going to go to the cloud? So the cost of on-premise operation overhead, that is not total in a sense. The initial investment cost of on-premise hardware, that's a part of it. The maintenance cost of replacing on-premise hardware, the cost of on-premise hardware investment, like I said, operational overhead, and missed opportunity cost, because we're talking about total cost of ownership. So the answer is going to be D. Our organization is planning to create many new applications and needs a system for managing and orchestrating their container. So this is Kubernetes there. So why should they use Kubernetes? So we're talking about new applications, containers. So why Kubernetes? It optimizes virtual machine performances. So containers are actually virtual machines. They're different. They're a better way to run instances and items on your cloud enterprise. It enables rapid application deployment and testing. So this can be an answer. It connects legacy system to an application that's off. It provides pre-written source code for application development. That might not be the answer. So B is going to be my best bet. So organization is migrating their business applications from on-premise to the cloud. How could this impact their operations and personnel costs? On-premise to cloud. So increase on-premise hardware maintenance costs, no. Reduce cloud software licensing costs, no. Reduce on-premise infrastructure management costs. Yeah, that's what is going to happen. Let's say you have your server hosting an application is physical, is local. Let's say 10 terabytes. And of course, you're going to make sure that you have backup for it, you have power for it, you have people managing it. But if you just use a Google Cloud storage or you create a bucket and you have all of those data being stored there, so it reduces all of those infrastructure costs that you're going to have. So you have increased cloud hardware management costs. So that's not the issue. So we're trying to say, if we are migrating from on-premise to cloud, how could this impact our operational and personnel costs? So it's going to reduce it actually. Now, an organization is implementing a cloud center of excellence by creating a central partnership. So when you're trying to do cloud, you need to understand that it's a combination of both your tech team, your finance team, because your finance team is going to help you with billings, all of the subscriptions you're going to do for cloud platforms. your technical team, your operations team, your developer team, everybody, right? You want to create a central partnership across all of this. What is the benefit of this approach? So enable individual project teams to apply their own approach to security, no. Ensuring that there's visibility into ongoing cloud spend, excellent. Reviewing cloud decisions on a quarterly basis, not necessarily. Owning all cloud spending budgets across the organization. So visibility is very crucial, because what happens when you merge and integrate everything together, people will now understand and see what their actions, they kind of have some kind of ownership. D would have been the answer, but B is going to be more appropriate. Organization wants to deploy new workloads to the cloud, but must keep some systems on premise for compliance reasons, right? You want to have some things physical there, but you still want to have some things in the cloud. So they need to centrally manage both environments. Which type of cloud will you shoot? So it's going to be like a hybrid. So multi-cloud is when you're using something like Google, AWS, Alibaba, Azure, using all of those cloud, IBM, using all of those cloud platforms. That's multi. Virtual machine environment is where you install things like Hyper-V, Oracle VirtualBox, VM, all of that. The hybrid cloud is when you're using something physical and something, what's it called, in the cloud. So that's going to be my answer. An organization is establishing best practices for financial governance in the cloud. You know, governance has to do with management. So when you're trying to manage, you talk about governance. They have multiple teams building applications. Which Google recommended approach should organization use to manage spending? So let's look at them. Define ownership for projects and establish financial accountability for the project owners. Define ownership for projects, but centralize financial accountability. Set a fixed cloud spend across all. So this is very rigid. Centralize financial accountability and review spending monthly. This is fine, but ownership is very crucial. Yes, so if you want to be able to manage spending very well, so people need to own whatever thing they do. So centralized financial accountability and review monthly spending, but ownership is very, very critical. So you don't just do anything you want to do. A retail store have discovered a cost-effective solution for creating self-service kiosks. They can use existing checkout hardware and purchase a virtual customer service. What do they need? Why do they also need an API? So one thing about an API, an application programmable interface, is that it can help us actually allow 2-3 softwares to interact. So you have like a waiter takes the order from the customer, goes to the kitchen, collects it, and serve, right? You have a telephone box. The telephone box is going to communicate, is going to help the user at this end communicate with the user at the other end. So that's what an API is. So the reason why they're going to need an API, we're going to evaluate them to check the hardware, to update the checkout hardware remotely, no. To migrate all customer data for disaster recovery, no. To connect the new application with the legacy system, to connect the checkout hardware to the public cloud. Yes, so C is going to be my best bet. It's going to help this application, right, connect to the legacy application, because they're trying to use existing hardware and purchase a virtual customer service. So like the hardware, then the remote stuff. Okay, so an organization is looking for a solution to help them build applications using their preferred programming languages and tools. They also want to minimize the time spent on infrastructure management. So what solution should they use? So bare metal, it's they are going to spend quite a lot of time configuring. You have Dataproc. I don't know what this is. You have PubSub, so this is a subscription model. You have Cloud Run. So Cloud Run is going to be the best bet for us to like build our application in any of the preferable languages. So what would provide near unlimited availability of cloud resources without requiring an organization to procure and provision new equipment? So near unlimited availability of computer resources without organization needing to procure new equipment. Public cloud is like regular Google stuff, AWS and the rest. Private, of course, you have limitation. Microservices are just a way to like do separation of concerns for your softwares. Then containers, so my answer is going to be between containers and public cloud. So we're talking about near unlimited availability of computing resources without requiring an organization to procure and provision new equipment. I think public cloud is going to be the best bet. So we should be discussing public cloud, private cloud, hybrid, and all of that. No microservices containers, because we're trying to look at cloud models. Private cloud will not be the answer because we're going to be limited with the hardware that we have on site. Then in Google Cloud security model, which aspect emphasizes the importance of keeping sensitive information safe and secret? So this is the DAD model or the CIA model. So you should be able to differentiate between integrity, confidentiality, availability, and compliance. Okay, so when we talk about secrecy, so it's always confidentiality. When we talk about people not being able to pilfer, tamper with data, change data, we talk about integrity. When people need to make sure that who needs to see something or have access to something can see it, can have access to its availability. Compliance has to do with third party or second party or wherever, recommendations on standardization of whatever you're doing. So the answer is going to be B. So an organization needs to store structured, that is maybe like database, transactional stuff, semi-structured, maybe something that looks like email or let's say Facebook, Twitter, that have different types of data. Then unstructured, something that is just very uncoordinated or different kind of data sets in its raw native format in the same repository. So the answer here is going to be between data lake and data warehouse. So, but anytime you talk about data lake, it then means that you have all types of data sets, right? All different sorts. Which cloud management solution should be the best use? So our answer is going to be a data lake. So a data lake is just like a dumping ground, right? Now, which cybersecurity threat can lead to information being stolen or damaged without the user ever being aware? So for ransomware, there's going to be a demand for cash or something. For SLA policy violation, so this is not a document. So that's what we say in cybersecurity or in cloud at times, that you can have vulnerabilities in people, in processes, and your technology. So your vulnerability doesn't just come from maybe your hardware, your softwares, or whatever. Even for your processes, your document, how you carry out stuff, you can have violation. So malware attack, incomplete data input. What's going to be the best answer now? So let's look at them. So we'll talk about data being stolen without the user being aware. So it's just going to be SLA. So SLA is service level agreement, policy violation. So let's say in the service level agreement, we said, okay, you're going to submit so data and we're going to use it for something. And you didn't pay attention to the document. Of course, that can be violated. Malware attack, at times you might be aware, incomplete data input, at times you might be aware, you might not be aware, but for SLA, so this is going to be my best bet. So if you think otherwise, you can let me know. So how would an organization benefit from Looker? So Looker is a business intelligence data visualization kind of suite you have in Google Cloud. So the answer is advanced business intelligence and analytics, of course. Optimal IAM, identity and access management, no. Serverless warehousing technology, no. Robust data rollback accuracy, don't know what that is, no. So the answer is A. So Ambition needs a platform to create custom end-to-end artificial intelligence model. Which Google Cloud product or service should organization use? So you have recommendation AI, data proc, compute engine, Vertex AI. So Vertex AI is going to help us for end-to-end. You could use Vertex AI in collaboration with other Google suites to do like a recommender system, to create chatbots, to create generative AI stuff, to do a lot of stuff, right? You could check out the documentation. Vertex is the right answer. So Ambition needs to control access for users and resources within Google Cloud. Which service should the organization use? So control access for users and resources within Google Cloud. So IAM. So IAM is identity and access management. If I want to know, Cloud Interconnect just have to do with connecting between maybe on-premise and remote. VPN is from users or our staff from different locations. They want to try to connect to our Google Cloud platform. Hardware-based encryption, I don't know what that is. That is, so we'll just say Cloud IAM. So Ambition is moving its operations to the cloud, but needs to migrate a legacy application without making any change to the code. So you just want to rehost. So replatform is saying, I want to move from, let's say, Google to AWS. I want to move from IBM to Alibaba. I want to move from Azure to like GCP, Google Cloud Platform. That's replatform. Refactor is that you want to make some changes. You want to kind of do some touches, right, on the code base before you like host it. Rehost will just have to be that you want to like rehost the times you want to just move something. Then but retire means that you no longer need those digital assets. So if you talk about migrating without making any changes, right, to the cloud, so you just what? Rehost, right? Replatform is going to be if migrate legacy without making changes. So the answer should be rehost. So Ambition has a small app that sends a mobile notification to a customer whenever a new order is placed on their website. They require a simple event-driven, right? So this is going to be cloud functions. So cloud functions help us to like create small set of code that is going to trigger something. AWS have this as Lambda functions, right? So just small piece of code that you can use to like trigger stuff and make things happen, like send an SMS, send an email, send a notification, write something to a database on the rest. So it's not Google, it's not Kubernetes, it's not Cloud Run, it's not Compute Engine. So according to Google AI principle, which scenario is irresponsible use of AI? You know, in the wave of AI, a lot of people are going to be using AI for several kind of stuff. So, but the question is, how do we ensure that there is responsibility? So what is irresponsible? That's the question. Creating mass blog posts by using generative AI. So mass blog post, the question is it going to benefit us? Using data on previous customer interaction, did you get permission from the user? Forecasting customers that are likely to have a higher lifetime value. Tracking user activity in financial organizations. Of course, using data on previous customers interaction, of course. So mass blog posts using generative. So this is not going to be best used because it is humans actually going to read those content. So are we going to be missing this question? Let me check it again. On previous customer interaction, yes, from what you've done with us before now, we can use it to like tell about what's going to happen. Forecasting customers are likely to have a higher lifetime value. Yes, we want to see how much spend this customer is going to have in the long run. Tracking user activities in financial organization, yes, of course. We can tell who we can give loan, who we shouldn't give loan, who have high propensity for fraud and the rest. So I think this mass blog post is something that wouldn't be nice for everybody. So that will constitute irresponsible use. An organization wants to migrate multiple virtual machines to the cloud. Which Google services should they use? So here, that's where Kubernetes engine comes in, but we're talking about multiple virtual machines. So multiple virtual machines, and you have different types of operating system. And the thing about container service is that why we use container services, because we want a situation whereby we can have different operating systems and we can pull everything together or in their different states and still host them without bothering about the underlying operating systems. So aggregation developers are growing increasingly frustrated by the limitations of their on-premise infrastructure. How would they benefit from leveraging cloud technology? They can optimize maintenance. They can expect 100% service availability. They can avoid the limitation of serverless computing. They can have new tools to innovate and optimize resource usage. Okay. How would they benefit and leverage cloud technology? They can optimize maintenance for their on-premise. They are frustrated by the limitations of their on-premise infrastructure. I think innovation is most likely the answer. So because the idea is when you move to the cloud, you now have a lot of tools to like do a lot of things. You have AI, you have functions as a service, you have platforms as a service, you have software as a service stuff. All of those things help you to like innovate, to like optimize whatever you're doing. Okay, so a global organization is developing an application to manage payments, online bank in multiple regions. Each transaction must be handled consistently in the database. So they anticipate unlimited growth in the amount of data stored. So anytime you talk about global scaling, Cloud Spanner is always the right answer. Cloud SQL would have been best if you're trying to do something very local or just within some zonal or local points within your cloud platform. But once it talks about databases and talks about global scaling, Cloud Spanner is your best bet. So aggregation wants an economical solution to store data such as files, graphical images, videos to access and share them securely. I think BigQuery is going to be my answer. But let's look at BigQuery, look at Cloud SQL, or be our best bet. Economics, right? So we want something very affordable, files, graphical image, and to access and share them securely. I think BigQuery is going to be, I'm thinking cloud storage, BigQuery, what's going to be my best bet? I think I will go for BigQuery. So why is that stored in Google Cloud secure and private, right? So why is data stored in Google's Cloud secure and private? The data is encrypted when an appropriate tag is applied. Data is encrypted by the security command center. The data is encrypted by cloud. Is encrypted by default. Yes. That's one thing that Google Cloud does for you. How is privacy defined in the context of cloud technology? Privacy. Procedures to authenticate user identity. Restriction on data access and sharing, compliance with regulatory standard, susceptibility to data for data breach and cyber attacks. So we're talking about privacy and we're talking about cloud technology. Why you have privacy is because of this, right? Authentication is not confidentiality. Yes, compliance is something, but compliance can mean quite a lot of things. It can mean confidentiality, it can mean several other things. So, but this is a very clear-cut and direct answer. So when an organization adopts cloud technology, how does their total cost of ownership shift? So, you know, physically, their total cost of ownership is going to be their hardware, their manpower, their power, their backup, their servers, all of that. So once they adopt cloud, what's going to be their total cost of ownership? Away from operational expenditure towards capital expenditure? No, capital expenditure has to do with on-site, right? Away from capital expenditure towards operational expenditures? No. Capital OPEX, yes, I think this is going to be my best bet. Let's look at other answers. Away from cost management towards capital expenditure, no. In cloud, you don't do capital expenditure, you do CapEx in on-premise. Away from operational expenditure towards cost management, no. So my best answer is going to be B. Away from capital expenditure where you have to buy all your hardware and whatever, and towards just OPEX, where you just do subscription for the cloud services that you have. Okay, so let's view my accuracy and let's see how well I did. So see the answers. I think I'm filling some items and getting a lot of stuff. I'm filling some items. So seems, did I get a score? I didn't get a score. So it's not telling me what my answers are. So it's 32 questions. So let me see if I can count. So 1, 2. Okay, let me just count the ones I filled because the ones I filled are a little bit smaller than the ones I passed. So let me count the ones that are filled. 1, 2, 3. Competitive answer. 4. So 4. So 32 minus 4, we have 28. 28 divide by 32. So I scored 87.5%. So I think at another time, we will review the questions and we'll see what the correct answers are going to be. So thank you very much. In other sessions, I'm going to tell you how to prepare for the Google Cloud Digital Leader exam, we're going to go through some series of training. So if you love what you see, if you anticipate to take the Google Cloud Digital Leader certification, don't forget to write a comment or let me know what your thoughts are about the Google Cloud Digital Leader sample questions. We're going to find time to review the correct answers and the wrong answers and maybe why they are correct and why they are wrong. Thank you very much and see you next time.